So welcome Cheryl to our show. Everybody, Cheryl is a owner and creator of escape rooms. She owns the Sweet Escape Room in Harrison, Ohio. So thank you so much for coming on today, Cheryl.
Thank you for having me.
So because she's an expert at escape rooms and I am this deep into the Appalachian Footpath Box thing, I brought her on to help us get some insights on what possible clues could be hidden on this map. Because earlier on, JCB did say that, well, it says in part two intro, as well as when he said you may want to try an escape room or something like that. So, of course, the first thing I did was turn to YouTube, and I did find a YouTube channel that he's an engineer, he's Mark Rober, and he does all these different cool things. But he had a video, and I'll link it in the description, of beat any escape room in 10 proven tricks and tips, right? And he actually flew to Ontario to talk to Dr. Scott Nicholson, who I guess is the guru of escape rooms. He won like some Red Bull escape room award or something like that. And I tried to get him on, and no, you're not my second choice, but I originally tried to get him on, but being an academic, because he's a professor as well, he was just starting his semester out and he didn't have time because he wanted to read the book and stuff. So that's where we're at here. And that's why we got you on here, because we want to talk escape room stuff. So
I'm about escape room stuff.
Yeah, and I really like the backdrop, your pirate ship. That is really cool. I'm going to go down there at some point because you're not that far relatively from me. And I could do it in a day, go down there in a day and back, and it'd be really fun.
This room is about William Kidd, who was a privateer turned pirate in the 17th century. So that's what I do, is I take stories out of history and I make escape rooms about the story. So this is really my jam in this book. I'm really loving
it. I bet. Yeah. So I bet when you first got this book, you're like, this is mine. This is for me, right?
Yes.
And it has to be, right?
Yes.
Like sure. You are the guru here. So what I'm going to do is I'll pull up the picture of the map, and this is what we got to work with. And so far we know through our great interviews that were given last week that this, all you need is the map to solve, which totally blew my solve, but that's okay. That's what it's all about. And also there's 3 different ways of solving this. So I'm going to make the obvious assumption that one of the ways is this trail. You probably agree with that, or could this be something that's going to throw us off?
That you could match up the trail for sure. Yeah.
So I didn't want to immediately say, oh, it matched up. Somebody found it very early on. And at first I was like, it's either red herring or it does line up, but maybe it's got some other significant meaning, because really, why would they put a map that somebody could easily identify if they live close onto here and blow like 80% of the solve that quick, right? You wouldn't do that in your escape room, would you?
Well, so one thing is, a couple of things actually. So one thing, people overlook the obvious a lot. In an escape room, like watching people go through, there'll be things that are just, I put it out there as a gimme and they don't get it. But also, if you're just like looking at the map, just because he might have chosen this or picked this, that doesn't mean I have people come up with things all the time that unintended, right? Yeah. So something that matches unintended, and I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, and sometimes I've had the room a year and one person will come along and think of something that nobody's ever thought of.
Sure.
And it matches, and I'm like, well, that could be it, but it's not, so it could go either way on that. But I would say probably yes, that is one of the ways.
Yeah. So when I watched that video of Mark Rober's, They said one of the things to do is pay attention to the guide or the person that's introducing you to the room, right? And that's what I thought the chapter text was. I looked at that was my guide, right?
Yes.
So I need to pay attention to this guide or the text pretty close to understand where I'm going. Now, I guess where I probably failed was I listened too much to the guide, right? And not the escape room, right? So if we're using the analogy of the guide in the room, then the chapter text and the map would be the escape room, right? Would that be fair?
Yeah. And the guide would be something you would refer to. So like go back to the text. I think the text is important. I think that you can go back and it's qualifiers or solidifiers. Once you have your solve, the text will confirm a confirmer.
Well, that's interesting because I just now thought about that concept as we're talking. And that's how it usually works with me. I have to talk things out loud before.
I do saying, yeah.
So although they're not necessarily the clues in there, they're your guide, which in essence help you find the clues.
Or confirm that you're in the right direction or area.
Well, now I feel much better, Cheryl.
That's how I would use it.
Thank you so much. I think that was great because I was really feeling a little bit defeated there for a while.
No, I think that the text is definitely important, or it wouldn't be there.
Right.
I don't put anything in my rooms unless you're intentionally creating red herrings. And I think there are probably things that are in the room or in the book that are red herrings, but I don't think that he intentionally created like major red herrings. Like he might have threw something in there, but I don't think that he intentionally created major red herrings. It's not the way that he operates.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about distractors? Because I had listened to a podcast, and I talked about it on my previous show with Ohio Jones and Neil deGrasse Tyson Star Talk, and they had a neuroscientist on there that they were studying magicians, and I picked up her book and read it, and it was really interesting. But they're studying magicians to learn a little bit more about how the human brain works, because magicians know how to. They hack the human brain, right?
Yeah.
They'll put distractions up when they want to do a sleight of hand. They'll do flashy lights or tell the audience to do something. Do you think that could be what possibly, integrated in here somehow, either in the map or probably more obviously in the text, I would think, but
I don't feel that way. I don't feel like that it is. I feel like there are some things that are worded very specifically, and if you can figure that out, like it will confirm what you find on the map. I don't feel like that there is like you said, the sleight of hand, or it's hard enough in an escape room, and I'm probably thinking he probably talked to one or two probably escape room creators, I'm guessing,
yeah,
and other types of puzzle creators, I'm sure, in his research. But people overlook things naturally. I don't know that you really need to throw in a lot of extra, to be honest. Like if I was creating something, I don't think I would throw in a lot of extra fluff.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Now, do you think, I read that red herrings, people that go to escape rooms hate them. A majority of people hate them. So, yes. And all about the experience of escape room is coming back, right?
Right. It's a time waster. I don't do red herrings. I think that's just, it's a waste of time. And I don't think that John does either. Obviously the obvious red herring, but I don't think that he, and there will be things that are in there that maybe he didn't intend to be a red herring that people will focus on, just because every brain thinks differently. And I heard him say that, and I actually say that in every intro. I have like a little video intro, and it says, when I'm making this, in my rooms, I'm very, very intentional about putting things into the rooms for all different brain types. And if you don't, 3 to 5 minutes on something, and if you don't figure it out, of course you only have an hour, but if you don't figure it out, move on to something else, because it's probably not how your brain works. And the fact that he did 3 separate ways to get through, to read this map, that tells me that he probably has talked to some people, some puzzle creators.
Yeah. Now, do you think that would is helping us by putting 3 different ways on there, or hurting us?
Yes, I think it's helping, because my brain isn't going to work the same as your brain. And when I look at this map, I'm going to see something totally different than what you see. Like my brain, because for one thing, being from different geographical areas, that's a huge thing, believe it or not. Being just different backgrounds, whatever you've experienced in your background is going to be different than what I've experienced in my background. But all of that comes together when you're trying to solve a puzzle. You're using the information that you already have in your brain, right?
Yeah.
So having 3 ways to solve it, your brain will see something different than what my brain is going to see. So, and I think that's probably a lot of the discourse. Everybody, and I don't get on a lot. I work a lot. I don't have a lot of time, but I know that there's a lot of people like, oh, this is right. No, this is right. Well, maybe they're both right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I've experienced that as well.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at this, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a little bit. Do you see 3 distinct ways, different ways of solving it, or is that something that's still subjective as well?
I would say it's subjective, but I can definitely see that there are, I can see things. I see different types of clues in here. I see different ways that I would look at this. Again, I haven't really focused a lot on this.
Sure.
I've been working on the lion's share mostly, but like just looking at the map, I see, there's different things there that you might like, that I might, if I'm a map person, like if I'm a street map person, I might see it one way versus being a
topographical map person or something.
Even if I'm looking for a geographic location, I would say that would be like just using like the pictures. And he did say that, he there's layering. So that was an interesting, because he couldn't get from AI what he intended. So.
Yeah, and that was another thing I wanted to touch base on was because I was listening to it for the probably millionth time today, American Treasure podcast with Dave Filona, and he said something in there that neither I created or AI created, and I've heard everything from one extreme to another what that is, and like you said, it's all open for interpretation.
It is.
I personally think it's some type of photograph.
I would tend to agree with that.
I still, and I'll bring this up here. This is in the upper right-hand corner and it's a little grainy for some reason. I don't think, maybe the way I screenshotted it or something, but to me, this stood out. This stood out as a possible place because, when in the Pokemon chapter, he said that picture in the end was an actual photo, which really shocked me. That was just modified through software or whatever. So then I started to think, well, maybe he did the same thing here, but really hid it good that you couldn't just pick it up. But it's still there as a confirmer if you're at the location, because I know there's probably things on here that are really going to make sense when
once you're there.
You get to a location. Yep. And I was just wondering what your thoughts on what this particular thing was.
I could see a couple of different things in there.
You do see some shadows, in there, and to me it looks like a tree bent, and then maybe some type of wall structure, I don't know, rock or maybe
like
a natural
yeah.
hill or something.
Yeah, yeah, it could be definitely. It almost looks like it's in the shape of a face, possibly.
Yeah,
I know just from being, like on the Appalachian Trail, or in that area, like in that Appalachian area, there's a lot of places that have structures that look like faces.
Yeah.
It's it's shocking. I was actually looking. I was doing another treasure hunt, and it was in West Virginia, and I couldn't believe how many things I saw that like it had something that looked like a face, a rock, like a natural rock formation.
Yeah, there's some pretty beautiful things, and I said this before, but until this book came out, I hiked locally and stuff, and pictures just don't do justice to anything. And to be inspired to go out, it's going to take, I don't want to say I'm not motivated, but unless I saw this area, it is beautiful. North Carolina, I fell in love with. And then we went to Pennsylvania, and I fell equally in love with that.
And you want to go back.
I do.
When you go back, you go, and you're like, I just want to come just to enjoy the neat.
I told Laura, I said, I want to live here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But, so I wanted to talk to you about that, but there's some other things that I wanted to show you as well. And we talked about this, me and Ohio Jones, on our Appalachian Trail Box series, and we're going to talk about some more. And yes, this is a shameless teaser. I did find some things with the coin, which I never thought was in play, through my own laziness or ignorance, and I didn't pay attention to it. Now that I heard that it is in play, or it was alluded to that was in play, I started messing around with it. I saw some really cool stuff, and I'll go over that with that in that video. But this one, I talked about this first, but there's 3 different pictograms I want to go over, because I want to rule out, I want to confirm or deny for myself if the Little Rock Pond Trail is something I need to really dig my heels into and possibly go out there, because it's far for me. If I drove it, it's like 11 hours. And although I'm not opposed to doing that on a long weekend, I don't want to if I don't have to.
Right.
And this one, usually I have to be around 85% before I go boots on the ground, depending on the location. Yeah. This one, I need a stronger confirmer to do something like that, unless I burn a whole week of vacation or something and I go out there. So the first one was this pictogram, and for the sake of my example I'm going to use, I took this as a scroll. Now, a scroll could look many different ways, and this could be so many different things. I want to know what your thought is on that.
My first thought was a scroll or a parchment.
Parchment was something as well.
Yeah.
I thought of it was even, I'll preface it by saying this: in the beginning, early on in my videos, I really dug deep into the high res photos and zoomed in some ridiculous amount, only to realize that he never really originally intended to have an ebook out. If you can't physically see it on the paper map, then it's out of play for me. At least for me, I'm not gonna, waste anybody's time or anything like that with it.
Right.
But initially, this was pretty clear picture. I could see, it's a lot clearer than this digital picture here. But I thought it was a scroll, so I had it by the trail. So I figured it means scroll the trail, right? And then I go to this one, which, yes, originally I did zoom in on a picture on it on my phone. I then looked back and took a magnifying glass, which I think is fair to use for a book, and looked at it closer, and it does look like an arrow with feathers upon another arrow. It is pretty clear. It's obviously a lot clearer if digitally, but it is realistic to see that there is something on it, right? There's layered. It's layered. There's
So-
two of them.
So it could be like I'm not sure. Is it called a fletch? Like the end of a bow and arrow,
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, but it does sound familiar.
It does look sort of like that type of a bow and or an arrow.
Yeah. Because at first I was like, what the heck is this? You know, it's just crazy. And it did take a little help to push me because I'm not really good at like deciphering things like that.
My brother said that it looked like a grouse feather.
Yeah.
There is grouse hunting at Little Rock Pond.
Okay.
Like that area. There's
that's
grouse.
even more interesting. Yeah. You heard it here first, people.
Yeah.
This is great. This is why we love having people on here, right? So I have now going from scroll to a pond, right? And then on this one, I took it as, and maybe this is just a bias I have or it's stuck in my head, Little Rock, because you have bigger rocks and they go down to Little Rock, and it's sort of emphasizing, and maybe the bear could be there for reference, but I don't know. I think the bear has something to do with it there, but I'm not quite sure it's because it's there. It has to go with the rocks.
Yeah.
Right.
I saw Little Rock or Big Rock, depending on how you're looking at it.
Sure.
And also, it almost sort of looks like a cairn, like how they stack the rocks.
Yeah. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Now, do you think it could also mean something else, being that, well, obviously it could mean something else, but like if you saw this in an escape room, the rock set up that way, and say it's laying down, because I don't think it's supposed to represent like a question mark, but it does. Now that I look at the littler ones, do look like it's a figure 8 pattern, or at least an S or an 8. You know, what would you use this as a clue for something, or could it be looking at, would you think this has some significant meaning if you're in one of your escape rooms or that type setting?
I could think of ways I could use it as a clue. Definitely, for sure. I think it's going to be something very specific. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think it's going to be something very specific. I do think it's relevant, though.
Yeah.
That's what you're asking. I do think it's relevant.
Yeah, I think it's relevant too. I'm trying to like sort of think like you for a minute.
It could be an on the ground confirmer.
Okay.
So like you said, the way that they're shaped, it almost looks like an upside down question mark, the left side of that. And also there's an arrow above the arrow.
Upper left.
The bear, yeah. And whatever that is, it doesn't look the same as the other lines. It's definitely something different.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm going to throw something at you. I just remembered now. When I was looking at a specific trail, and I say specific not because I don't want to reveal it, but it's I forgot. There was me and Ohio Jones talked about it a little bit. I don't know if we talked about it in the video or not, but it said the name of the trail and BRTR, and that's an abbreviation for something that I can't recall right now. But when I saw the BR, I thought B for bear, R for rock. That possibly be. Yeah.
It could be. I think it'll probably be more specific than that.
Yeah, it won't be as vague as that. Or yeah, because it jumped out at me for some reason. See, I'm starting to think like you you guys. I'm involving myself so much into this that I'm starting to think that way. And when I roll up on a stop sign or something, I'm like, ooh, what's this? Blue?
Yeah. I hear somebody say the lion's share. I'm like, oh, my accountant said it the other day. I was like, did you mean to say that? Like, what?
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Yeah. The bear, he's in action also. He's not he's not being still. It looks like he's like moving. And
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that it looks like a duck head or something coming like from the back. To me, it looks like he has 3 legs, not 4. I mean, like obviously he
Yeah.
has 4 legs, but you can only see 3 of them. I don't think that whatever that is behind him was intended to be a duck head, but it could be something that was either on the paper or that was added or layered over
That little smudge mark, it looks,
Yeah.
to me, it looks a little like a darker version of the dashed line that's sort of smudged off.
Oh, at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To his back leg, looking at it back right. So that's what we're really, these are the things that I'm digging out. And obviously, if we go back to the other map, we could probably spend days looking at this. And I didn't want to take up a whole day of your time. Although, when we come down to do your escape room, I'll probably talk your ear off. But, there's so many different things. And do they have, when he says 3 different things, is it safe to assume to say, for example, one of the things is the dotted trail, one of the things are the pictogram, and one of the things are the lettering or the letters in there, like the AT, the begin here, the look around, go fetch, this high point.
If it were me, I would say that all goes with the pictures. I would say the lines are something very important. It looks like they're background lines, but I would say if you could possibly match those up with anything, that those would be an important, that they look like background, but.
Oh, the creases, you mean? Or I assume there would be creases, right?
Yeah. There's X's, there's arrows, there's almost like shapes in the lines, the different lines there.
Yeah, because I originally thought behind, excuse me, the bald head, they have the AT and then the 2 X's. I thought that was like railroad for something, Yeah,
it could be, the crossing or any crossing, yeah.
So you would think there would be value if I put a piece of tracing paper over this map and copied all just the lines.
Just the lines. I mean, like if I was like honing in on this map, I would definitely, that is one of the things I would definitely do. Also, I would say that the lines may not necessarily be to scale to what people think. I mean, they might be, but that is something to consider, that it may not be. I know like people have matched it up with Little Rock Pond and it might be there, but also like I would definitely look at that aspect of it, the ratio of the, like how far apart that really is, like how big of a section really is that you're looking at there.
Yeah. Because when I superimpose this picture over the CalTopo map, now CalTopo map is you can have different types of maps. You can have a topographical, you can have a street view, and there was one that had a bunch of other lines on it that indicated I don't know, some were roads and some were county lines and stuff. And I was thinking, man, maybe that matched up. But man, I mean, we're going off something we already have. If Little Rock Pond was never mentioned and we didn't know this matched up, that would be pretty tough to. I mean, it would be a confirmer, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, the lines, yeah.
Yeah. Because after hearing more about John's way of putting this stuff together, I think, at least I could speak for myself, I overthought it and thought it was going to be some really super complicated thing I'm going to have to figure out. But it's turning out to be, because it's like when you say the punchline to a joke, it's like, why didn't I get that? Right?
Yeah.
Every time he brings something new, I feel like, man, I'm such an idiot. Right? Well, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I know that?
I think it's common for as adults. I will say this: if you have, I would show this to a kid and ask them, maybe a junior high, somewhere around that age, or even early high school. But adults overthink things. And watching going through escape rooms, it's so funny because there'll be a 7-year-old going, mommy, look at this, and mom's like, yeah, and pushing them aside, and I'm like, but look at what she's showing you. Like we overthink things. And I will say that is probably, I bet more than half of the people that don't make it out, it's because they are just overthinking. They're putting way too much thought and effort into something that it's just not there. And if you just look at it and take it for exactly what you see, that would be my first go-to.
Which is probably the worst thing for me, because I'm known to overthink everything. This is my personality type, right?
Yes.
And to me, this is more of, this has brought so much greatness into to my life as far as disciplining me in many avenues, but it forces me to stop and think, not think in an overthink way, but just to look at it in different perspective, to take a step back. And I'm telling you, I'll have to say this, with no disrespect to the treasure hunting community or the escape room community, but I never got it before. I was like, why do people do this? Right. And I said it to myself. I didn't, broadcast it to everybody. I just, in the back of my mind, I'm like, why do people, this doesn't make sense to me. And now I take a 180 on that perspective, right? Because this is great. This is, you can learn so much from doing this,
When you figure it out. I tell people it might be difficult, but it will be simple. And I think that he has the same take. It might be difficult, but it will be simple. Everybody, like that's in my little spiel at the beginning, it just take it literally for what you see it. Look at what you're just like, take a step back, try to take a look at it from a child's perspective, or a more simple perspective.
Yeah.
I would literally find a kid that age and see if you just ask them.
Yeah. No, that's what a great lesson, that this could teach you in life, because that's a lot of things in life are that way. We tend to project and overcomplicate things.
We do. We're bringing everything that we know and applying it to one thing, when really if you back up off of it, you're going to see different things, I think.
Yeah. And that's why I had you on here, Cheryl, today. I want to thank you so much for coming on today. And, I'll leave a link to your escape room in the description. I encourage everybody, if they're out in that area, it's southern Indiana, Ohio border.
We are right on the Ohio-Indiana border. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're out that way, sweet escape room and axe throwing, not all at the same time.
Yeah.
Make sure you look up Cheryl. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for coming on.
Thank you.